Cool. If you do not know me, my name is Stuart, but no, I'm not going to go into all the nicknames. But I can't remember. I'm out of season. Like that only happens in the summer where I can give all the nicknames. But anyways, also known as Stuart B501. But it just flows off the tongue. 501, repping, my home city, whatever. But anyways, I am going to talk to y'all tonight about reaching for vision. Reaching for vision. But before I get started, I actually want to show a video. So, David, we got that ready to go? So y'all check out this video to get it. All right. So that's pretty insane, right? That gets you going. That's like, hey, gas me up. You know what I'm saying? Let's put some gas in the tank. Just out of curiosity, does anyone like rock climbing here?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There you go. Okay. Next question. Has anyone ever seen the movie Free Solo?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So if you've never rock climbed, now, y'all still probably watch that and are pretty amazed, but if you've ever rock climbed even one time, you're like, oh my gosh, what they are doing is insane. I remember watching Free Solo, and I've started to get more into rock climbing. Mackenzie rock climbing, she's like hardcore rock climbing, 5'10s, class of 5'10s, 5'11s, for any of those who know anything about rock climbing. But like Free Solo, the dude is insane. Like these holds, it's like a pebble. It's not a hold. There was one hold we were watching it just for fun, but we were watching it, and the dude was climbing El Capitan, which is a mountain in a wall in Yosemite, and one of his holds was what was called a thumb hold. Now, when I say hold, that like doesn't do it justice. It was a little dent in the wall, the rock structure, where he put his thumb in there and lifted himself up with his thumb. Pretty tight, pretty insane. Rock climbing is crazy. I've gotten more into the sport, but how does this have anything to do with vision? When I say vision, what comes to many people's mind is knowing the end, like knowing where you will be in 10 years. Who you're going to be married to, how many kids you're going to have, what your dog is, what their name of the dog is going to be, all of those different things. We love thinking about the end, but rarely are people willing to go through the process. Vision is like the wall, and there are different things that you need to reach for to be able to climb it. So today I want to talk to you about reaching for vision. And I'm going to break this up into three things because I want to talk about how do we reach for vision. And I want to give you three things to reach for when reaching for vision. So we're going to jump right into this. The first thing to reach for, I'm going to call it #goals. Hashtag goals. You got to have a hashtag. I got to be hip, I don't know if you, top to bottom, I got my camo shirt. I got my cool Gap jeans. I got my Adidas shoes. I like to think I'm pretty hip right now. I'm pretty fashionable. I got to keep up with the lingo and whatnot. But anyways, the first thing you got to reach for is goals. #goals. In the long run, the people who succeed are the ones who are willing to live the lifestyle that precedes the results. Yeah, that was a barn burner from the start. Okay, so y'all weren't ready. Okay, I just drank some caffeine, and I never drink caffeine, so I'm like ready to go. I'm gassed up. Gas is in the tank, and we are running from the start. In the long run, the people who succeed are the ones who are willing to live the lifestyle that precedes the results. People don't get to their end goal without first becoming that type of person. Now, a lot of people have what is called do goals. We call them do goals. What's a do goal? January 1st hits and bam, we all got these goals. Spring break, I got that beach bod ready to go. I'm going to be fit. I'm going to run a mile every single day. I'm going to wake up at 6 a.m. I'm going to run a mile. Or a do goal, something like I am going to make straight A's. I'm going to have a 4.0. Whatever your #goal is. Or I want to stop procrastinating every day. And here, yeah, so, who struggles with procrastination? Well, the real procrastinators are like, I'll raise my hand later. But that's my favorite joke. Anyways, okay, going for those things is really broad. That's a really broad topic. I want to stop procrastinating. Okay, that's like saying I want to win the basketball game. There's no There's no rhyme or reason or strategy in order to be able to do that. That doesn't just happen. There's a strategy behind it. Do goals are not really attainable if you just reach for that. Why? Because it is not who you are yet. If it's not who you are yet, then there's no need to reach for that. So the end game cannot be the focus. For example, you are in a football game and your team calls a timeout, or you get to halftime. Well, what do y'all talk about in halftime of football or halftime of volleyball? What y'all got? Quarters, halves? How does that work? You got sets. Yes, you got sets. You get to the end of a set or a timeout in any sport, and what do you talk about? Do you just look at the scoreboard and just say, hey, they have more points than us, we need to have more points than them at the end of the game to be able to win? No, that's not what you talk about at halftime or during a timeout. You talk about the adjustments you need to make. Or more likely, this is what we've worked on in practice. We need this to translate to a game. We need to box out. We need to rebound, or we need to make sure we don't let this person catch the ball. Whatever it may be. The focus cannot be the scoreboard. It is the way that you are playing. Do goal. We want to win a state championship. Okay? So literally does every other team in the state. There's no difference between your goal and their goal. So that's not our specific pursuit, but rather qualities that a championship team would embody. It's common to want results. It's rare to want the lifestyle. It's common to want results. It's rare to want the lifestyle. Being a championship team sounds great. But then when you look at all the things that a championship team does, the attention to details they have to have, the hard work that they have to put in, the way they protect their bodies, things like that, and you start to know the nitty-gritty of how they perform to that level year after year, it becomes something, maybe that's not so much what I want to do. So what we need is what we call who goals. There's a difference in do goals and who goals. What who goals do is give you things to accomplish now. So I remember, first year coaching in basketball, we set a bunch of do goals, and I let the guys come up with the goals. And the goals are the natural goals. We want to win a state championship. We want to be undefeated at home. We want to protect the house. We want to, whatever it may be. We want to beat this team by 30. We want to be undefeated against our rival. Whatever it may be. So we set a lot of do goals. And I started to realize, okay, every other team in our conference probably has the same goals that we do. So what separates us? What can make us different? What is actually more attainable? What is something that we need to really focus on? So now, when we set our goals with our basketball team, what we try to do is say, hey, look at some of these great teams. And hopefully, I speak in the language of sport, and athletics. So some great sport athletic teams or whatever, some great football, basketball teams. You got the New England Patriots. You got the San Antonio Spurs. I know they're not necessarily great this year, but I guarantee they'll make the playoffs. You got, not the Golden State Warriors. You got, RIP, R.I.P. Yes. You got the Alabama Crimson Tide. You have... Yeah, that one was for Josh Barnett. Or you could twist this and say, do what the Razorbacks don't do. I'm a Razorback fan, but I can't deny. Anyways, what we do with our team is we start to go after the who goals. So we say, hey, New England Patriots, San Antonio Spurs, some of these teams that are really, really good year in, year out, every single year, they're successful. What are some of the qualities, and I'll ask the players, what are some of the qualities that you think these teams do on a daily basis? And they'll start coming up with things. They're consistent. Effort doesn't have to be coached. They're player-led. All these different things. And now we have things that we can be in pursuit of today. Rather than the state championship and the far-off future, we're focused on what we can do better today. So we'll have a culture checkup on Mondays and be like, and we'll just put a smiley face or a frowny face by it. Are we consistent? Did everyone show up to practice? Did everyone work and compete in practice? And we'll put a frowny face or a smiley face by it or whatever it may be. But that's what we need to focus on because those are the qualities that embody a championship team. Winners and losers have the same end goals, but vastly different results. Winners and losers have the same end goals, but vastly different results. So rather than do goals, what we want to do is set who goals. We want to reach for the type of person, the who, that does the things that we want to do. So let's compare do goals versus who goals. Do goal. I want to make $1 million. So literally does everybody else. A lot of people have that same desire. So how can we turn that into fruition? Do goal. I want to have $1 million. Who goal. Based on who I want to become financially, I am going to save 10% of my paycheck. I'm just going to put it in savings. Now, what is that? That is one thing based on who I want to become. I want to be frugal with my money. I want to be wise with my money. But then second, it's a very small thing that we're asking to do. We're not saying we need $1 million by the time I'm 22. Not going to happen. That's just discouraging. That's not going to happen for you. What you need to do is start by creating the habits that a millionaire would have. You know, I know we think that millionaires just magically have $1 million in their bank account one day, but no, they were learning to be wise with their money. They learned from whatever it was, saving, investing, whatever it may be. So let's just start with one who goal and save 10% of our paycheck. Do goal. I want to have straight A's. Great. That's the end game. Now, how do we enforce it? Who goal. Based on who I want to become as a student, I am going to leave my phone in my backpack during class. Something like that, you know. Based on who I want to become as a student, I'm going to sit in the front row. See, these are very small, attainable things that can be actionable like tomorrow, like on Monday when you get to school. Do goal. I want to be disciplined. Who goal. Based on who I want to become as a disciplined person, I will make my bed every day before I leave. Now, that is seemingly nothing. How does that have anything that translates to being disciplined? But what you're doing is you're doing a habit of a disciplined person. And when you start doing one habit of a disciplined person, habits can start to compound. And so now, that is the tone that you set for the day. By making your bed, now you are leaving in a disciplined state of mind. It doesn't seem like much, but it is actionable, very simple, very easy, for today, exactly what you are doing now. In the long run, the people who succeed are the ones who are willing to live the lifestyle that precedes the results. The second way to reach for vision is pursue the 1%. Or if I equated it to rock climbing, it is get to the next hold. You know, when you're rock climbing, you're not trying to jump all the way to the top and be at the top just like that. How do you get there? One step at a time. And I know that sounds cliche, but you got to go 1 foothold at a time. You have to make sure your feet are in the right spot. You have to make sure you find the next hold and just reach up for the next one. And this gets people. This is the one that we struggle with because we want things now. We don't want a 10-year plan. We want things now. We don't want to. I don't care where I'm at in 25. I want things now. I want $1 million now. I don't care what I have when I'm 25. I want things now. And so a lot of young people here follow your passion. And this is where I think people get lost, because while this sounds good, I think this is bad and confusing advice and can be toxic. This notion that your passion exists, like it's fully formed, it's out there, you just have to uncover it, you have to find the buried treasure and figure out what your passion is. Like this notion that your passion exists. And I think this can first be toxic because we use this as an end goal, use the end goal as an excuse not to focus on the 1%. So for example, here's an excuse I've heard from different students of mine. I'm not going to college, so why do I need to work hard now? I don't like being a student, so who cares about my grades? Right? Some of you probably have had the same thought. I know I did in high school. I had the same thing I'm going to do in school, and then I'm a teacher. Funny enough. This isn't the job I want to do in the future, so who cares how well I do at it right now? What I would argue is that many don't ever find their real passion or giftings because they weren't faithful in the little that they had. King David focused on being faithful with what he had in front of him. He was a shepherd. He played the harp. He respected his father. He brought his brothers crackers and cheese. And I'm sure he didn't like being Uber Eats for his brothers. You know what I'm saying? After all, he was like anointed to be king over them and all. And he's got to be Uber Eats for his brothers and bring them crackers and cheese and whatnot. But the ingredient to promotion with God is faithfulness. And can I take some pressure off of you and tell you that you don't have to know everything about your life right now. But you do need to be faithful with where you are. There we go. You do need to be faithful with where you are at when reaching for vision. Pursue the 1% and be faithful with where you are at. The future depends on what you do today. The future depends on what you do today. This is easy to dismiss because it doesn't feel like you're making any impact on any given day. And so I'm definitely not saying it's easy to place the focus on 1%. I mean, after all, look at how many people don't achieve their goals, right? And this can lead us to quit. It's frustrating. I worked hard, I studied on this test, and I didn't get the grade I wanted, so now I want to quit. Or we have been practicing hard as a team, we have not been winning games, so because we haven't been winning, and I don't have the goal of where I want to be right now, then I don't want to practice anymore. Whatever it may be. I prayed for this one time and didn't get what I prayed for. But don't place your focus on the scoreboard. Place your reach on what you can do today. To help you improve the 1% each day, it starts by having the right habits. Successful people are comprised of successful habits. Duh. Right? Successful people are comprised of successful habits. So how do we nurture and create good habits while breaking and poisoning bad habits? Because we're aware when we spend too much time on Netflix, or like probably the more real thing now is Disney Plus. You know how many Disney Plus followers in the house? Yeah, right? Yeah, Disney Plus, that's the new gig. Netflix, it's old. You don't need that anymore. But you got Disney Plus, so you can watch Even Stevens and Lizzie McGuire. And y'all know what that is? That was like before your time. Okay, cool. Anyways. I actually didn't have Disney Channel growing up. I was deprived. But anyways, but you know when you are spending too much time on your social media, you know when you're spending too much time on Netflix or Disney Plus or whatever it was, yet still, no one can seem to stop doing a bad habit and just start doing a good habit. You know, it's not easy to just switch the gear and start doing what you want to do. So how do we create good habits and omit bad habits? So I'm going to give you 3 subpoints in here within habits. The first subpoint to growing the 1% is just start small. We kind of touched on this, but start small. Small habits make a big difference. Now, what's the difference between 1% better or 1% worse? What's the difference between brushing your teeth one night and not brushing your teeth one night? Some of y'all got funky breath, so maybe that's a little bit worse for some than others. What's the difference in, saving for this paycheck and not saving for the paycheck? What's the difference of eating a burger this meal or whatever it may be versus eating a salad? Well, on any given day, not a whole lot. You know, you look in the mirror, nothing's changed. You step on the scale, nothing's changed. You didn't get rewarded for eating that salad, you know, and you didn't get, punished for eating that burger right after you eat it and step on the scale. But if you go 5 years down the road and do the same thing over and over, it compounds, and one day you step on the scale and you can't see it because your stomach's in the way. You know, like eventually these things compound, these habits compound. Just fun fact, did you know that 40 to 50% of the things that you do daily are a habit? 40 to 50% of the things you do daily are a habit, meaning you just do it. Like you don't think about it. It's not a conscious decision. It's just, it happens. The alarm goes off when you're waking up. Unconsciously, you just hit the snooze button, you know, probably 3 or 4 times. And there's distance between each snooze was like 12 minutes. So an hour later you wake up. But that's an unconscious decision. You didn't really sit there and weigh the pros and cons of should I or should I not hit the snooze button. No, the alarm went off and it was right by you, so you hit the snooze button. And then habits can take 40 to 50% of your time, but then on top of that, habits are like the entry point for the chunk of your next behavior. So these habits can actually end up taking 70 to 80 to 90% of your time. A good example, your phone vibrates in your pocket. What is your next habit when your phone vibrates? You take it out and see what happened, right? So now you open, and it could have been like a telemarketer person calling. You know, somebody you were never going to answer or nothing, right? Like it was a waste of your time even getting the phone out. But the habit of taking your phone out because it vibrated in your pocket, now that can lead to the next chunk of your time because now you open your phone and now you see apps right there on your phone. Or you see a text conversation that you are, wanting to continue, or a Snapchat streak that you are wanting to continue, whatever it may be. So the habit of just pulling your phone out when your phone vibrated, and some of you are like, yeah, that's me. And that led to the next chunk of your behavior, 15 minutes, 30 minutes of being on a social media app or being on a video game or whatever it may be. But that never would have taken place if you never pulled your phone out of your pocket in the first place, right? So before you know it, that tiny little habit takes 15 minutes of your time of pulling it out of your pocket. James Clear, author of a book called Atomic Habits, if you want to read more on this stuff, writes about what's called a 2-minute rule when we are trying to create good habits. Meaning whatever you want to do, just start with 2 minutes. Start small. So you say you want to be reading more January 1st hits and you want to read more. Okay, well, let's not go to the natural goal that everybody comes up with of read a book a month, right? That's what a lot of people go to. Let's just start by saying, hey, I'm going to read 2 minutes a day, the rule of 2, or I'm going to read 2 pages a day, whatever it may be. Don't try to read a book in a month. If you want to get in shape, let's just start with doing 2 push-ups a day. And that sounds very small, but it is creating the discipline. That small habit is creating the discipline of you becoming more like the person of the end goal person that you want to become, if that makes sense. He had a listener that, I heard him talking to a listener one time, and he was talking to a guy who lost over 100 pounds. It's a lot of weight. Over 100 pounds he lost. And what this listener did, he's, the rule of 2 or whatever it was, he, every morning, when he, was overweight, he didn't want to be that weight anymore, he would get in his car before work, he would drive to the gym. He had got a gym membership, drove to the gym, and literally did like half of an exercise for 2 minutes and then walked out and then went to work. And you may be thinking, how the heck does that breed any results? Well, what was he doing? He was creating the habit of bringing himself to the gym where workout does happen, right? Not sleeping, oversleeping or whatever it is. He was creating the habit of being at the gym, and over time he was like, this 2 minutes can become 3 minutes, this 3 minutes can become 4 minutes, and over time he loses 100 pounds. So all these small habits compound over time. The second way for habits, is for creating habits, is there are 4 behavioral laws to follow. And I'm going to get kind of really practical here, and I think it's really fun to listen to and learn about and shape our thinking. But when creating a habit, there are 4 behavior laws to follow. Make it easy, attractive, obvious, satisfying. So for example, you want to drink more water. Well, make it easy and obvious by putting it at the front of the fridge versus a soda, right? You make it easy and obvious. Those are the 4 behavioral laws for creating a habit that you want to have. Or you want to pay attention better in class, make it easier by sitting at the front of your class. Just sitting by people that regularly study in study hall or study in class makes you the outcast if you don't study, right? So it makes it more attractive to be there and paying attention and studying in class. And then the third thing is when trying to stop a habit, you just invert those 4 laws. So you make it difficult, you make it invisible, unattractive, and unsatisfying. So you just make it the opposite of the 4 behavior laws. Make it difficult, invisible, unattractive, and unsatisfying. So some people say a bad habit they have is watching too much TV. So they want to watch less TV. Well, you want to put yourself in a positive environment to succeed. But if you go into most any living room in the entire United States, what is all the furniture facing? So that in and of itself is already a bad environment to help discontinue the habit that you were wanting to stop. because all the furniture is already facing the TV. So that is actually making your bad habit easy because it's all facing the TV. So what you might do is make the furniture face a coffee table with a book on it. It doesn't face the TV. Or maybe every time you watch TV or stop watching TV, you unplug it. What does that do? Not much, but it does make it difficult for you to go and watch TV, because now you can't just sit down on your couch and get the remote and turn on the TV. See that habit of sitting down on the couch, pointing the remote of the TV and turning it on? That caused 30 minutes, 1 hour, and took an hour of your time, whatever it may be. But by unplugging the TV, now you have made it more difficult on yourself because you have to go plug it in for it to happen, whatever it may be. Or you can make it difficult in order to watch TV, the only way you're going to watch it is you are going to say the exact name of the show that you are going to watch, or the exact event of the show that you are going to watch. Otherwise, I'm not going to watch TV. I'm really just wasting time at that point. Doesn't sound like much, but it all adds up, and it's all creating a positive atmosphere to either kill or nurture whatever habit you are wanting to create or get rid of. You want to spend less time on social media? Well, make it difficult and invisible by deleting the app every time you use it. See, if you open your phone and see the button that you can just tap on it, a habit right there requires no real thought. Instagram button is on my phone. I just tap it. It's at the first page. So now I can just tap it and be on Instagram. Okay, if you want to get rid of it, just make it difficult by deleting it every time you use it, whatever it may be. And that makes you think, do I want to spend time on it, or am I just doing this to avoid homework? Whatever it may be. But small habits make a big difference. They compound and make up who you are and what you do in a day. You don't rise to the level of your goals, but you fall to the level of your system or your habits. You can have big goals, but you will always fall to the level of your system. My question for you is, are the habits you have today on par with the dreams that you have for tomorrow? That's like fortune cookie talk right there. Yes. Anyways, the third thing to reach for, last thing to reach for, is renewal. Renewal. And this just means, what renew means is you're just being made new each day. You're being stretched. I don't know if when you saw that video, you saw some of the things those rock climbers were doing. Like, that looked very uncomfortable. Like, they're doing the splits. That did not look comfortable, whatever they were doing. It's like they're playing Twister on the side of a mountain. And I can't play Twister on flat ground. So let alone on the side of a mountain, I don't want to try to do that. But this is not comfortable. And sometimes you will have moments when you have to rely on faith and do uncomfortable things. If you don't reach for God to renew you, it's like climbing without a belayer. And if you don't know anything about rock climbing, those people don't just climb, and if they fall, they die. They have someone at the bottom of the mountain who is what is called a belayer. And they are holding all the slack. They are taking up all the slack every time they climb to the next thing. So if they fall, they don't fall far. And so if you don't reach for God to renew you, it's like climbing without a belayer. You can make some progress on your own, but eventually you will be run dry or you will be out of energy. And you need a belayer who you can have faith in that they won't let you fall. What's funny is when God is renewing, He is focused way more on you getting to a certain. Sorry, let me repeat that. What's funny is when God is renewing, He is focused on way more than you getting to a certain job or level of income. He wants you to know your identity. God cares way more about you knowing your identity than your vocation or what your job will be in the future. He cares way more about you knowing what's on the internal than caring about the external. A lot of people, including myself, can switch what we give ultimate authority over our thinking. We can start thinking more about the external than the internal. Let your aim be focused on knowing your identity. So if there's a season where it feels like you're not having success, well, because your identity is in God, you know that He approves you. Or there's one of those junior high seasons or stages where you got braces, acne, and whatnot, and you don't feel very good. I went through that stage, had all the bad gunk on my face all at one time. We avoid that stage. That is like, we don't want to go back to that phase, the junior high stage. But you know that God made you fearfully and wonderfully because you know your identity. There's a season where you just don't feel like you can win, but you know God's got a plan for you. Let the aim be identity. When we don't have those prioritized properly, this is where people can get into an identity crisis. Because their pursuit was success, and now all of a sudden they don't have success, so they don't know who they are. Well, they were in pursuit of the wrong thing. And God calls us into a posture whereby you can never inherit a sense of fulfillment based on effort. God calls us into a posture whereby you can never inherit a sense of fulfillment based on effort, but based on connection with the Father. The Holy Spirit wants to bring you to a place where you can't measure success by anything but connection. People may care about the external. God cares about the internal. Are you allowing your spirit to be renewed by God? 2 Corinthians 4:16, love this verse. You can write this one down. The outward man is perishing, but the inward man is being renewed day by day. The outward man is perishing, but the inward man is being renewed day by day. You are allowing God to mold you. What is happening to the outward man is connected to the degree of renewal happening to the inward man. I believe most of our outer man issues are inner man issues. Struggling with pride, lust, insecurity, those different struggles that you may have, that is more connected to the internal spiritual apathy. And that is tough because sometimes it's just like, this is what I'm struggling with. This is what I'm hooked on, whatever it may be. But what is the degree of renewal that you are allowing God to mold and have take place inside of you? Just because one gets saved doesn't mean they start living without sin. Revival is the start, but you have to go into daily renewal after that. A problem Christians have is only having a moment of revival and not taking any further steps. God never intended for revival or getting saved to be the end. That was just the start to your amazing journey that God wants to take you on. Sinners saved by grace should be a part of everybody's story, but it's not the end. That's only a fraction. That's one page of your story. The gospel begins with, how do I get out of an inferior lifestyle? But that's not where it ends. The gospel has so much more. The gospel is supposed to transition into, how do I get into a superior lifestyle, which takes place internally. This is where God can transform us, mold us, and align our thoughts with His. He is the only one who can show us how to reach for vision designed for us, because He is the one who created us. Don't try to climb and reach without God belaying at the bottom. And just in closing, here's what I want you to know. There's 3 ways I challenge you to reach for vision. The first one is your hashtag goals. Create that focus on the type of person, the who, that you want to become. In the long run, the people who succeed are the ones who are willing to live the lifestyle that precedes the results. Number 2, pursue the 1%. Start small. Make the habits that you want to create easy, attractive, satisfying, and visible. Make the bad habits difficult, invisible, unattractive, and unsatisfying. Are the habits you have today on par with the dreams that you have for tomorrow? And then third, most important, allow God to renew you daily. That is where your fulfillment comes from. Get your identity from Him. Let Him make you new each day. God calls us into a posture whereby you can never inherit a sense of fulfillment based on effort, but based on connection with Him. Y'all get something out of this? Yeah. Good.